having a space that had healing as an intentional aspect in it, that had openness as an intentional aspect in it, that had forest bathing and sound baths and intimate one-on-one connections, I think really allowed for people to share openly and respond.
I started doing the masking really as a self-therapy, as a way for me to silence my thoughts and a way for me to focus on myself and to really get expressive again. It was in that space that I returned to this practice. That is what sort of spawned the ball here in Boston. So masking, the MassQ Ball, it all came about in California when I was doing music out there. And the group of people I was doing music with had this event that they had put on called the MassQ Ball. The idea was they wanted to have a ball, they wanted to have a party, but they didn't want to do the Victorian thing where people came with masks on. They thought, well, what if we just painted the mask on our faces? We started to research practices of body decoration, which we realized were practiced indigenously throughout the world. And this sort of became a really great platform for intercultural exchange, because when we were in the Bay Area, we were working with youth from many different communities. We found that through our youth work and through this ball, we were able to bring all these different communities together. And so it was this really magical celebration of culture. And so when I came back to Boston, I was really missing that culture and really missing that community that I had built. The work that I was doing with masking piqued the interest of Ash Gordon, who is the creative director of Castle of Our Skins, which is a music and education series. And it was with her that we decided that we were going to try to bring the ball to Boston.
With Castle of Our Skins, this MassQ Ball project was the start of our 10th anniversary. So literally starting off with a ball. And over those 10 years, again, being highly collaborative, we've built a lot of relationships, not just with musicians, but really with a variety of cultural practitioners. Through many late night, early morning, sort of 24/7 conversations, figuring out and massaging from our different vantage points what this project could be.
All these different cultures have this practice of changing the body at different crucial times of evolution. When you're changing from, say, a single person to being married, or you're changing from a young boy to a man, or from a farmer to a warrior, you make these physical changes to metaphorically understand the change that you're undergoing. Change is really important in terms of how masking works. Identity is really important in terms of how masking works, because the primary canvas is the face, and that's what we use to identify. And also, as you change your identity, masking sort of helps with that transition. And then also community, that masking cannot be done sort of alone. We were able to train over 30 artists to come and learn the masking technique. And it's much more of like an approach, especially when I was talking with them, they already know how to paint. But involving another human being into your painting process and facilitating that interaction between people is extremely interpersonal, and that has to be nuanced and has to be appreciated. It's about radical listening, it's about radical vulnerability, and it's about people coming together to collectively create work.
The Arboretum as a setting was perfect in that it engendered us to be able to think about our relationship to nature, our relationship to humanity, and our relationship to all those who even were online connected to us.
Returning to nature is such an important part about this particular ball, which is what made it so important to have it at the Arnold Arboretum, where you are literally surrounded by nature. And that's really kind of the idea of this ball.
Being in a space that automatically creates a sense of wonder was such a natural and needed physical environment for what we were trying to do, which is totally about imagining. The space was probably as much of a co-producing partner as I think we were, and certainly the Arnold Arboretum staff who were amazing. To add that character, literally a whole character of Mother Nature, into the project, I think was really important.
The different programs that we did got people in a place of co-imagining what kind of future and space we could create together. We had a panel discussion on identity, culture, and art with 3 fantastic artist practitioners and a restaurateur. We also had myth-making workshops. We've had masking workshops where people were able to transform themselves into walking works of art. Poetry workshops where people were able to connect with their ancestors. It was all about how do we connect with each other and how do we connect with what originated us, where we came from, our cultures, our traditions that really make us who we are.
It has reinvigorated my desire to just continue on my own spiritual journey and to look, deeper within myself, to try to get in touch with my own ancestors, people that will bring me closer to my own journey.
In 2017 had a more, in alignment vision to co-produce the first MassQ Ball. 2017 had the idea of convergence, so things really coming together in this really beautiful way. And 2022 had the idea of collective imagination, of what our environment could look like, how we can be in harmony with one another, with each other, and take this moment in time, which was July 9th, 2022, as a starting place for sort of a new way forward.
The space expanded. Hibernian Hall is like a hall and fits maybe like 800 people tops. We went from inside to outside. We went from having maybe 60 performers to having a team of over 100. And in terms of the attendees, we went from maybe around 200 to about 1,500. Both events were extremely ambitious. 2017 was like a case study. Can we do this? Is Boston a place that we can have this kind of space? And we got the answer, yes. Yes, this is a place where we can come together. So 2022 was about, okay, now that we know that this is possible, how do we make this so that it is a force? So everything was about growing, expanding. It was about how do we extend this to more and more people? How do we impact more and more people in Boston?
A lot of the responses we got from the attendees, from the maskers, from the performers was touching on the idea of safety, being able to share, being able to trust. We had maskers say that they were crying with people because the idea of being vulnerable and being intimate with someone, to touch your face after especially years of coverage in the pandemic, opened up a lot for people.
What is something that unites us in terms of giving birth to a new era, a new way of being, a new way of relating with each other? If we, as people of color, came together and imagined our own origin story, our own myth together of how we came to be, what would that be? That was really much sort of the crux of 2022.